Hello, everyone. It's Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Arts. Saturday afternoon, gorgeous day here in New England. It is beautiful out, but I am going to come inside for a little while and paint with you. So, welcome and thanks for watching. I'm going to show you a cool little find that I got at Target. You know that little section when you first walk in and it has all those things that you really don't need to buy, but you buy anyway? I find some cool craft things there. So I'm going to get started and just paint these in just my ordinary acrylic craft paints. So say hello when you pop in. I see people popping in. Do say hello. I know I'm on StreamYard today. That way you can see a nice close-up of me working, but please give StreamYard permission, and that way I can see your name when you comment. But I do have my comments up, so please feel free to ask questions as we go. And say hello. Please say hello and tell me where you're watching from when you come in. So I'm going to remove this banner so that you guys can get a good view of what we're doing today. And I'm going to make the screen bigger for where I'm working. But these are what I'm going to paint today. I found these in that little section when you walk into Target. Aren't they adorable? Little snowmen, couple different. These little Santas, I'm going to paint maybe one as a gnome and one as a Santa. These little guys were $3 and you get the two of them. So great little idea if you're going to be doing some craft fairs and bazaars and things at Christmas. These little things would make a great little item. You could make them into ornaments, I'm sure. I think I want them just to stand like in a little display, you know, the tiered tray displays. That might be good for that. You could incorporate them and put them on a wreath. So many ideas, and they're wood and they're very cute. And I thought I would jump on live and paint them so that I had company while I'm painting here today. I've been on a snowman kick lately. I don't know if anybody saw my live the other day. Did anybody see it where I took that lantern from Michael's clearance section for 70% off and painted some snowmen on the glass part, which was really fun. I've done some others. I just finished this little guy this morning on just a wood board. I put warm winter welcome on there. Another find I did show you, I don't know if you saw me, but this was on the clearance section of Michael, 70% off, has the little easel, and it had a fall saying on it. I'm going to paint a snowman. So I painted the whole thing blue, and this ended up being with the 70% off like $4. So pretty cool. I always say, look at the clearance sections and repurpose things. They don't have to be for the holiday that the clearance is for. So let me just get this so you can see what I'm going to work on. I'm going to bring up your comments and see who's here. So say hello. Hey, Sharon and Sandy. Hi, guys. Hey, Eric. I'm so glad. Phil, Peggy and Tina. I feel like Miss Jean on Romper Room. And Judy, welcome. Judy's one of my new Cardist members. I have an art membership, and Judy's in there. So cute little things. They're pretty well made. They've got just this little piece of sticky stuff on the bottom to hold them in the package. It peels right off. This guy's got a bit of a wonky nose. I could see the glue. I think the paint will cover fine. If not, I could just scrape it down with my knife. I have my sanding block here, but these are pretty smooth. I don't think I even need to sand them. So we're going to paint 4 at once, and I just love them. They're so adorable. Okay, let's just jump in. Acrylic paints. I'm using just my craft paints today. I do like the heavy body tubed acrylics too. If you have those or you have this, for this little project, the paint that's a little bit looser would be easier to apply, I think. I love the Deco Art, but I will use whatever brand I like the colors of too. So good morning, Shelby. Hello, I'm saying good morning. It's afternoon here. Hi, Sarah. Oh, good. Yeah, Michael's already had some Christmas things marked down. I also just had to go to Dollar Tree and look at this cute little ornaments. It's a little fox. Maybe I'll just tie a ribbon around his neck and make him more Christmassy. There are 8 in here for $1.25. This, I think, was supposed to be like a little mulled cider or something. I'm going to make it as a little hot chocolate cup. I also had some cute snowmen from them that I'm going to paint up too. Same thing, a whole set. These are great little grab and go items for your fairs. This little wooden snowman, Dollar Tree, $1.25. He's going to be pretty cute. I'll try to jump on live and record when I'm doing this. And if not, just check my page. Follow me on the socials, and you'll see me come on live and paint some little things. If you want to be notified when I come on live, there is a phone number you can if you wanted to quickly screenshot or jot that number down, just text hello, and I will send you out a little notification when I'm going live. And also on YouTube, I put the link in the comments. I believe it went in the comments, maybe. Yeah, it's in some of the comments, but I am going to make sure in the comments is my link to. That's not where I wanted it, but anyway, that's the texting number. But follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that, and you'll find lots of free little tutorials and classes there. I just want you to see how I paint. It's easy. I make it fun and easy for you, and I just want you to paint with me. Even if you don't think you have artistic talent, you can't draw a straight line, you can't paint faces, I go step by step for you. Hi, Patty. Two Patties at the same time. Hello, both. And Charlotte. Oh, good. Yeah, Charlotte, you'll have that painted by tomorrow, probably. I can't wait to see all your things. All right, enough of me gabbing. You don't need that. Let's paint. You can ask questions as I go. Hi, Joe. Hey, Vicky. Thank you, guys. I like to remove the banner so you can see everything, but you can always send me a message and ask for any questions if you need contacts and want more information about anything at all. Okay, snowmen. Even though these guys are little and don't need a lot, I want to paint them sort of a light blue first, then paint white on top, leaving a little of the blue in some of the creases, casts a shadow, instead of just painting the whole thing white. So let's do that first as a little underpainting. I'm just taking some blue and white. So these are my colors. I just took out colors I thought I might use. The acrylics, like I say, just using the synthetic brushes. You don't need a lot of supplies for all this, you guys. Just use what you have to start with and go from there. You can mix up most of your colors from your primaries. So don't let not having all the supplies put you off from just getting started. So can you see I'm painting them kind of a blue-gray? And I'll just dip into my white as I go. It's a little dark, but I want to have sort of a blue-gray that's going to be a bit of a shadow. And we're just going to paint over this with some white afterwards. He's a snowman, so we could apply that white afterwards a little thicker, make it sort of textures. You could even take a medium if you wanted and mix it with your paints to make it really textured. Or use a sponge and apply it. I'm not going to worry about that today, but if you were painting them, you could certainly get them thicker. I might just pat the paint on a little heavy, but then I think I'll go over with some glitter. I have been hooked on glitter for a little while. I think I have some somewhere here. And we'll just get the base coat on this first. I'm just mixing a little blue as I go. I may take a tad of black so it's kind of a blue-gray. I would finish it off by painting the bottom. I'm not going to do that. I'll do that afterwards. You guys you could paint the bottom as you go. I just don't want to because I don't want to sit it down and have it wet. You can paint the bottom on your own. Actually, it's very easy. So there's a little snowman painted blue. And same with this guy. He's a taller one. Very cute. And like I said, these will be great little gifts, teacher gifts, hostess gifts. I think they'd sell great at a little craft fair or in a bazaar, which I know a lot of people have coming up. Is anyone here doing some craft fairs this season, selling some things? Hi, Carrie, and hey, Deanna and Cindy. I love seeing all you guys pop on, and it is fascinating to see where everyone is from. I did take a little poll the other week on my Facebook page about where is everybody from, and isn't it fun to see people all over the place? It's great. I love seeing people from all over. I'm in Massachusetts. I'm in New England. Like I said, it's a gorgeous day. I've been outside, and I will go back outside because we just never know here in New England when winter's going to really come. We've had snow by now in other years, so to have it in the 60s today is really a treat. So everyone's out raking their leaves and taking down Halloween. Good time to put up Christmas lights. You don't have to put them on, but it's a beautiful day to do that too. I might put my Christmas up pretty soon. How about you guys? Who decorates? How early do you guys decorate? I'd love to see if I'm the only one thinking about putting up Christmas. So 2 little blue snowmen for now. I know it's kind of weird looking. I'm just kind of base coating some of the backgrounds. What I want to do is get it all painted and then add the fun details. And I'm going to paint one of these as a Santa and one as a gnome because it's fun. People still are just loving the gnomes. So let's see. I think I will paint the gnome with the tree on his head. And this guy I'm going to paint as a Santa, so I'm going to give him a face first, just so I know where to paint the beard. We can do the beard for Santa and the beard for our gnome at the same time. I'm just taking a little bit of flesh-colored paint, and I'm just going to sort of make a face. You could draw this with pencil first if you wanted to. Oh, I got to do his nose too. I forgot about that. And I'll use this same color on my little gnome's nose. They're just little wooden dowels that are glued on. And I'm just going to do the face area, and then I'll paint where the beard's going to go over. We'll paint your little nose. I don't know about you guys, but I've been finding some really cool stuff to paint on. I do like to paint on unusual things. I found some cool things this morning at a yard sale. Hey, Peggy. It's been raining in Oregon. Oh, I know. We had some rain a few weeks ago, but it's been beautiful these last few days, and we've got about 2 more days, I think, of it being really beautiful. Yeah, Lisa, I think that's the norm, really, right? Wait till after Thanksgiving for the Christmas decorations. I'll leave my Halloween up for a little bit. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays, so I don't mind looking at that for a little bit longer. Oh, so today I do have an old, the flexible flyer sleds, which I have for myself, which I just put like a decorative bow on there of pine and ribbon, but I wanted to paint one, and I found one today at a yard sale that is really pretty decent condition. And also a little bucket. It looks like a milk can tin, and I never realized it, but it is a milk can, but it is the little family size. I'm going to look this up. So the farmers would just use this little milk can to bring the milk in for the family in the house. The big ones that you see are filled for resale and that sort of thing. So that was kind of cool to find that. I don't know what to paint on it yet or how I'm going to treat it, but you guys will see when I'm ready to do that. All right, so let's put on our little beards. When I do a beard, I'm kind of painted the same way as I do fur maybe on something. I want a white beard, but I don't want to just go ahead on and paint it just white. I want to have a little shadow, so I will probably paint it a gray first, and then I'm going to put little strokes of paint on top, getting lighter till I get some little white wispy little hairs. So I'm going to just go ahead and paint. I'm going to make a gray just on the fly. I don't need to have a mixed gray in a bottle. I'm just going to take some black and white. I take a tiny bit of blue. I sort of like more gray blue when I'm doing any kind of a gray. I like to add a little blue to it. The little gnome, we're going to just paint the beard all around. We don't need to do anything else. And then we'll just put the little strokes of hair. So just go ahead and paint, when you're doing these guys. This is the same way I would do Santas, gnomes, that sort of thing. Just a little gray under painting. Hi, Leslie. Did you guys get these little Santas and gnomes and things at Target too? They're so fun. I have a lot of gnome things I've been painting too. I've always loved gnomes. Back when they were even popular back in the 70s, when they really were quite popular, that gnome book was out and everybody loved the gnomes. It was kind of fun to see them as a little popular again. It's not perfectly it's not perfect shade of gray. I mix the paint as I go. It doesn't have to be. It looks more natural that way if you, instead of trying to mix the perfect gray and painting it. Oh, good. Yeah. Hi, Nance. I know I'm trying to come on a little quicker when I buy these things and painting them so that if you want to find them, you still can. But like I said, I got some great finds the other day at Michael's for 70% off, and someone was just posting that Hobby Lobby had 75% off fall, and you could use some of those things for a different season. It doesn't have to be something you save till next season. So always be thinking when you're looking at these things, and how can you repurpose them and paint them differently or craft them differently. I'm doing the gray right around the back of the head of the Santa too. It's going to kind of be his beard going right into his hair. You're finding more and more craft things at the dollar stores and whatnot. I just have found some really cool things. I was never much for the dollar store, but I love the little wood pieces because it's hard to find them cut out sometimes if you're not cutting it yourself. If you don't have a jigsaw or whatnot. Nice to find some little pieces all cut out. I know back in the day I used to paint a lot of little dimensional snowmen like this. They were bigger, and there was a lot of more decorative painting companies and supply places around. But lately I haven't found much, so I'm pretty happy to have found them just as easy as going to Target. So we've got a little bit of a beard started on Santa. We're going to make a little bit of a mustache, so I'm just going to get that in there for now. And there we are. So we'll set our snowman here. We're going to work on our little Santa and gnome for now. And I see you guys still popping in. Thank you. I love it when I can have some company to paint with. And again, any questions about anything, throw them in the comments. If I don't answer them now, I'll certainly go back and answer them afterwards. So when I'm doing, like I said, animal fur maybe, even the little beards, I layer the strokes on top now. I usually start from the bottom and work up so that the beard or the fur lays correctly. And I want to go from this shade of gray up to white. I don't want to jump right to white yet. Why don't I just take a little of that gray? It's mostly white. I'm going to use just a little detail brush. You can use your liner brush, whatever's comfortable for you. And I'm just going to start making little hair strokes. And you can see it's lighter. It's not quite white, but I'm just going to layer that from the bottom up. And I'm just going to go ahead and use, I'm going to go right around it. I want to finish it off in the back too. And like I said, you could certainly use your liner brush too. Liner brushes are great because you can load them up with paint and get quite a few little brush strokes before you have to come back in and reload. And the trick to doing little strokes like this, hi Katie, is having the paint a nice inky consistency. You don't want to water it down so much you can see through it, but if you try to use it straight out of the tube, it's just going to drag. So do just add some water to it. And I'm just going to go right around and layer by layer. This is giving me a thinner line than the detail brush was. I think I like this better. And I'm just going to go right around and just layer it right up. And then I'm going to do the same thing really with white. So that way, when you're looking at the beard, it's going to have dimension. It's going to have some lights and darks. And you'll be able to see through and see some of these areas still. So just right around, we're going to do the same thing on the little Santa beard. We'll make more of a mustache shape too. And I'm mixing it again on the fly. I'm not mixing up a big puddle of just a certain color gray. I am just adding the white as I go. More natural again, because you're going to have all these different shades of gray into white. So you can kind of start seeing our little gnomes getting a little beard there. And can you see why I'm starting at the bottom and layering it up? The little hairs will lay nicer and you'll see the little ends. If you started at the top and worked down, you would be cutting off your nice little hairs. And so it's just start from the bottom up. And that's what we're going to do right up to the top of that little tree hat he's got on. I'm going to skip over and do that same layer on my Santa. So I'm going to, this is the little mustache area. So let me just kind of get that in where I know it's going to be a little mustache. And this is going to be the beard, building that up into the hair. Probably will shade under the mustache a little when it's time, just to set that forward a little bit. And I'm just going to go around the back of the head, just like we did on the gnome, starting at the bottom and just making little hair strokes. And I'm probably going to use the traditional red and green on Santa, but you know, the Santas sometimes are fun painted with a blue outfit, even gold or yellow hats and coats really are kind of fun. And if you were selling these, say, at a fair, instead of having them all lined up and all red, if you threw some colored, different color shades in there, it makes for a really more dynamic display. I love the little Santas with the other color hats and coats too. And like I said, those little tier tray displays that people love now, these would be great sitting in there. You could have a variety of these little wooden items for sale. And even if you could get, I think Target had some of the little tiered trays too. You could have one as a display and then sell all the little elements. People could like build their own little display, which I bet would go over really well. Kind of makes me want to do a fair now. I haven't anything lined up this season, but with all my samples I've been painting for the lives, it might be a thought. I always have fun meeting all the other crafters and whatnot. Okay, so you can see we've got them kind of a good start there. Put the little strokes on for the mustache, and now we're going to go with straight white and do similar little strokes. And remember, you guys, I know it's hard to stop everything on a Saturday, so if you're just watching or popping in for a minute and have to go, this will be recorded and you'll find it on my page. It's also on YouTube. We're on YouTube Live, so welcome to the YouTube people, and thank you for watching, and you will find it on YouTube. So subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I'd appreciate the subscribe, and you won't miss any of the lives that I do. Okay, so I'm going to take just the white now. And just going to quickly do, now this is the top layer of the hair, so you might want to just kind of pay a little more attention of the strokes. I'm going to just kind of go different directions so it's not just straight down. Can you see I can kind of wiggle them if I want. I'm going to work from the bottom up to the top. And can you see now how you've got 3 shades there? I know the lighting, I don't know if the lighting is great here today. You've got the dark gray we started with, a little lighter just gray for the little strands of hair, and then we're doing the white, and that really stands out. And I'm just going to go right around the back. I'm going to go sort of quickly here. I don't want you to have to really take the time to watch me do every little stroke. I can come back here and finesse it a little bit if I want, but let's just get some hair on our little gnome there. Santa's the same thing. Starting at the bottom. On the beard, I might make it a little bit more of a direction. Can you see I'm just curving out on each side, straighter in the middle. On his little mustache, same thing. We're going to just go with the shape of the mustache. And a little bit of the white on the hair going around the back, just like we did on our little gnome. Oh gosh, it's all people from all over in here watching, so welcome. Welcome. Let me know what you're working. Well, let me know what you want to see. I'm very open to suggestions of what you would like to see painted too. I have, like I said, a lot of Christmassy and holiday things lined up. Sometimes it's not even planned. I'll just hop on like this. I didn't really plan. I just had these on my desk and thought I better do something with these before they're not available anymore. And so it's more timely. But a lot of times I just, on a whim, will pop on, and I've got lots of projects here to work on. It's more fun for me to have someone to work with and chat with while I'm painting. So I appreciate you guys being here. Oh, thanks. They're pretty cute. They were just at Target in that little section when you walk in, little wooden cutouts, 2 in a package for $3. Gosh, I do feel like the spokesman for the craft stores and the dollar stores some days, but I just want to share what I find so that you can also find some good bargains. Now is the time when you can build that up as much as you want. You could get it much brighter. If you wanted to go in with heavier strokes of beard, you could do that. You could just personalize it now the way you want. I love showing you how I do things. It is by no means the right way. There's no right or wrong way. I'll give you the basic steps, and then you go ahead and make it your own. And same thing. I did lots of little thin strokes, but again, you could go and do heavier strokes if you wanted on top. If the paint, the white paint that we're putting on now, sort of blends in and it's not looking as white, you could certainly go over it a little heavier. It's sort of a texture thing. It's a personal thing, whatever you like to see the look of. Now, I think I'll leave my gnome as is. If you have kind of lost the gray in there and it looks just too white, you could always go in with a wash of the gray. So what I'm going to do on my Santa, because I want you to really see the mustache, and you can see it's the mustache and then the beard, but with a little shading, you could really make that stand out. I'm just going to take back to the grays I was using before, a little darker gray than maybe we started. And you could just put a little wash. So I've just watered down my gray, and I'm doing a little wash under my mustache. You can even do that around the hat if you wanted a little bit of a shadow there. I know I tend to go a little detail on even little pieces like this, but I think why not just put that little extra touch and make it really look finished. So can you see I just did a little shadow under the hat? I did a little shadow, makes the world of difference, I think, that little mustache. And now we could just take a little red, make a little, kind of just like a little U stroke, a little curved stroke, and that just could be his little mouth. Simple as that. We don't have to worry about a face on the gnome. That's what's great about the gnomes. We don't even worry about faces. But this little Santa is going to get, he's very tiny. There's not much room for features and things. But I do want to kind of blush a little cheek, maybe a little red on his nose. I will do that by taking the color I used for flesh, add a little tiny bit of red so it's just a little pinker than the flesh. And you can just work it out to the color that you want. And I'm just going to just brush a little bit on his nose. I got a little heavy on the red, so I'll just go back with a little bit of the flesh color. So his nose is just a little redder. And I apologize. I think the lighting is off today. And I'm going to work on that. It's nice when I have daylight, but these are all just lights. But a little bit of red on the nose, right? You can see. I'll take that same brush and just give him some red rosy cheeks. It's hard to see a little bit, but I just took the same little color. I just highlighted the nose. His eyes, we don't have to get crazy with eyes. They're tiny. Let's just do a little dab. It's more of a seed shape like this than it is just a dot. Dots are fine too, but I'm sort of just pressing down and bringing it up a little bit. So it's just a little bit of like a teardrop shape. Again, not a huge thing. Santa usually has some eyebrows, so let's just start just like we did the beard and whatnot, and just get a little dark gray to just place the eyebrow. There's not much room for it there, but we're just going to do a little curve in the gray, and then we're just going to do exactly what we did with the beard, is just put a little white on top. It's hardly a stroke, but still, we want him to have eyebrows, so we're just going to stroke that white on top. Now I look at I seem to have not as bright on the mustache as I'd like, so I'm going to just make it a little brighter there. And his face is done, except for I do want to put a tiny white highlight in those eyes, but it's still wet. So there we are. Let's do their hats, which is really fun. Well, thanks, Peggy. Hey, Barbara from California. You're right on the whole other coast, so welcome. And like I said, I'm going to do traditional, but again, use your imagination. He could have a green hat. He could have a yellow hat. He doesn't have to always be red, but I'm going to do a traditional just so you can see that. His hat's going to be red. The little pom-pom in this little bit, which is fur, I will paint white too, but let's just get the red part done. So I'm just using the red that I love for all my Christmas projects. If you're painting with the deco art, the bright red doesn't seem to do it. Other reds don't, but I'll tell you, this Tuscan red is a perfect red. I use it for everything. It's the only red that I use, and it's great for Christmassy stuff too, so it's pretty cool. So I'm going to do that. I do want to have a little shadow under the little top and under the rim, but let's just paint red first, and then I'm going to show you how easily you can get a little shadow on anything on these little pieces, similar to how I just did the shadow under the hat on his beard. I will finish these off when they're done by adding a little bit of a polyurethane just to give it a little bit of a shine. Of course, any place that I put that glitter on is going to be a little bit of a shine anyway. So unless you glitter the whole thing, I would use a little. I just use the Minwax Polycryl. I buy it at the hardware store in a quart. It's water-based, and you can get gloss or satin, and it will go a long way. I transfer them into like a bottle like this, and that's a little easier to use, but that's all you really need to seal any of your pieces if you wish. The acrylic paint really is a sealer. You don't really have to put something on, but anything that I want to brighten up or have a little shine to, I will put the polycryl on, especially little cutouts and things like this. The paint looks a little dull, and I just like to give it a little shine. So who agrees? Who thinks these would be great for little teacher gifts? Holiday holiday projects to sell if you're doing anything with craft fairs and whatnot. Okay, so to make a maroon, never had luck with any of the colors with the maroon that I buy, so I just mix it. I get the best maroon when I can just take a little black and mix it into my red, and I get a really nice dark maroon. And what I want to do with that is give a little shadow under the little pom-pom there, and I'm just painting it on. And because my red is still a little wet, I could just dry this brush off and soften that in, and that's all I need to do. So shading and highlighting really gives the item, whatever you're painting, form. It makes it look 3D. This is 3D, but see, it gives it a little shadow. Just a perfect, easy little touch, but I think it works out perfectly. And I'm going to do the same thing as a little shadow behind this little trim around his hat. Couple ways you can do this. Couple ways I do my shading and highlights. Sometimes I'll just do it as a wash. I'll put paint real watery and just wash it in there, and it probably would blend easily enough. Or if I work quick enough, I could do wet and wet, so the red is still a little wet. Put that in quickly, just that shadow. I just painted it in, dry my brush off, and just use that brush to soften it. If you're working a little slower and both colors have dried, just re-wet the red a little bit, and you can just, with the dry brush, soften it. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's your hat. We just need the white on the trim. And if it was a big Santa project, I probably would do like a beige or something and then put the white on. But I think since I'm going to put glitter on here anyway, I think we can simply just paint those two bits in just white. And we'll use the glitter as a little accent. So just paint that white. You probably need a couple coats. A lot of times when you're painting the white or light colors, acrylic, in the craft acrylics especially, aren't the best, don't have the best coverage. But the trick is to let it dry really well, and then put your second coat on. If you rush it and you're impatient like I am usually, if you put the second coat on before that's dry, you're just going to take it off, the first coat. So if you need to, just pop it the hair dryer or the heat gun and dry it, or just have some patience and just let it dry, and then you can be working on one of the other guys here. So there. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to put a little coat of white on this little rim as well. Small square brush is pretty good because it almost is the right width to go right around. And you can always go back in and touch up where it's a little formed wood piece, sometimes your brush will slip and hit, maybe say it would hit the hat or the beard. You could always touch it up afterwards. Remember, acrylic's really forgiving. You can paint right over things and fix them. So don't get worked up with, oh, I can't, I don't like the way it's coming out and can't do it. You can, and you can just change anything you like afterwards. You can always change the color, paint it over. You can see how I've got a little bit of the white on that area where I had the shading, and you could just simply take another brush and just wipe that out. Take a brush with red on it, or just take a clear brush and you could wash it off. Pretty easy. And I would probably tuck this white under, and I'll go back and do that. And I just wanted to get a little of that on there just to show you. And then we're going to go work on our snowman. And then we'll come back and touch this guy up if we need to. Give him a little bit of highlight. Even tiny eyes like this, you always want to put a little white highlight. Brings the eyes to life. Get even to a tiny little highlight on the lip. And let's let that dry. And let's do the tree. I think the tree hat's going to be really fun on this guy too. So throw out the questions. Let me know if you have any questions at all. If you've just come in late and you need any information about what we did when we started, let me know. And now we're going to do the tree. I'm going to start, and I'm going to just paint it green to begin with. Then we'll throw some shadows in there and a little highlight, and I'll show you a good trick to do these little branches. So let's just get the green on there first. Now, I'm going to do the whole thing green. You could do this little rim a different color if you wanted, but I'm going to make it like he's just wearing a Christmas tree on his head as a hat. We did the little ceramic gnome like that. It was just the Christmas tree on top with the little lights like you see on the ceramic trees, but the bottom was a little gnome face. Those were really fun. We did a lot of those last Christmas. And I'm trying to do some different projects this Christmas because we did a lot of certain things. But I do love painting the Santas and the snowmen. And you'll see me painting a lot more of those now that we're getting into that season, and I've had to put the pumpkins and the Halloween projects away, so. And what do you guys want to see? Do let me know what you might want to see me demo online here like this. This, Charlotte, would be perfect for teacher gifts. Yeah, they would appreciate that. You could put the kid's name on the bottom in a Sharpie or something, and so much nicer than just another mug. You know, I know the teachers have so many mugs and things, but this, I'm sure that they would appreciate something handmade. I know I do. I love handmade things. I think I will do the little ball on the top red just for fun. And there. So that's base coated with the coat of green. I'm going to let it dry, and we're going to shade under each of these little ridges. And then we're going to put on some little highlights, which I'll show you. So let's let them sit a second. And let's go tackle our snowman. And let me, I will lay him down so you can see his little face while we're painting. And I know it's hard, you're just seeing the tops, but that's drying. So now we're going to do these little guys. Painted them blue. If you weren't here in the beginning, just painted them blue. That way when I go on now with a little textured white, it would have a little bit of blue showing through, which would be kind of like a nice shadow. This is a good time to maybe use one of your brushes that's kind of ratty and splayed out, and you can get some texture with it, which I have a million of those brushes, but do I have one handy right now? Let's see, I've got so many. You could just take any. This one's a good one, maybe. It's kind of beat up, and you can see it's kind of splayed. So when you have these brushes that sort of get out of shape, I will actually, as I'm painting, give you some tips to fix them, but keep a few around for texture, for trees and anything you want to, fur, anything you want to put texture on. So first I'm going to go ahead and just get some white on there. And I'm going to paint right over the blue. I'm going to leave it a little bluer in the little areas where there's a crease. So I'm just going with my white paint, and you can see I'm kind of going like up and down and all around. I don't want to just go back and forth. You'd see the brush strokes, but if we do it with a little texture like this, leaving it bluer in the little creases, and then we'll glitter these guys up too. I think that might be fun. And this is how I paint my snowmen, whether it's a big, really more finished painting with a snowman or just these little guys, is I paint them blue to begin with. I put the white on top. If it's a big snowman, it has a lot of detail, I would go back in and do a wash of the blue if I needed to. Take a few coats because we want to build it up to be a little brighter in the middle sections. So for now, we're just putting it on every which way. And these guys don't have arms, but I mean, if you wanted to get really crafty, you could get a tiny little, drill a tiny little hole in and just get some little twigs and stick them in for arms, which would be kind of cute. Oh, hey, Cecile, watching from Canada, my neighbor to the north. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I know it's last minute, and in the middle of a Saturday, you might have a million other things to do. So I appreciate you popping in and saying hello. And like I said, if you can't stay, you'll find the recording. And you can watch it another time when you want to work on some little Christmassy projects. These were from Target, like I said. They're made of wood. They didn't really need much sanding. They were a little wonky on the glue on this nose on this one, but once he's all done and we glob a little bit of glitter on him, no one's going to notice. And I might take a little bit of ribbon and just make little scarves for them as well. You could knit a little scarf for them, I suppose, if you had tiny little knitting needles and wanted to do that. That would be cool. A little couple of rows, maybe. Oh, Cecile, thank you. It's really fun. I love coming on here, even last minute, and just having some people around because I'm painting a lot, and sometimes it gets a little bit quiet on my own. And so thank you guys for joining. I love it. Thank you. So you can see how it dried. It turned a little bit bluer. Just build it up as much as you need to, as much as you like. Again, there's no right or wrong. You do whatever you want and however you like the look of. I'm gonna put a little more white, and then I'm gonna use that brush that has some texture to it and just kind of pat on the paint. You could use a little sponge, one of those little sponge dabbers that you use for stenciling, or just a little bit of a sea sponge. I have one around here somewhere too, but I'm not gonna run and find it right now. But you could take, like I said, a brush that's sort of beat up already and just dab on just for some texture. If you wanted a lot of texture, you could get a medium that you mix, a textured medium that you could put in your paint and really get a lot of texture there. I don't think I'd bother on something this tiny. I think this is enough of a texture that you need. Oh, Leslie, thank you. I didn't get the nutcrackers. I wanted to. I love nutcrackers. I just thought you know what? I probably will go back, but I just thought I would put so much detail on them that I'd be on here for hours, but I should get some for myself. I did a fun painting in my art membership last Christmas of nutcrackers. It's a illustration that I did for Christmas cards, and the nutcrackers are all lined up and they're all making goofy faces. I do love nutcrackers. That's a fun theme. I know a lot of people collect different Christmas icons, but I think nutcrackers are a little different. So I really do enjoy doing them. And now you've just convinced me to go back maybe and get the nutcrackers. Did you get the nutcrackers? Let me know. Oh, don't worry about missing the beginning. It's recorded. All I did on these little guys was paint them blue, and we're just getting into the white now. And then these, when I come back to finish up the Santas, I'll fill you in. Pretty basic, but they are a great little item, and I love the size. Like I said, I painted lots of these that were bigger years back. I like the little tiny size because my eyesight's not what it used to be, and I don't know how I used to paint some of the things. I actually worked for a collectibles company, a couple of different collectibles company painting their little things. I don't know if you know about Wee Forest Folk. They're the teeny tiny mice about this big, amazingly painted with so much detail. I don't even know how I used to paint them with my eyesight the way it is these days. I need super magnifying glasses, but they're fun. Yes, Leslie, I would almost rather paint like a bigger nutcracker, but they might be fun. You don't have to get a lot of detail. You know what I would do is paint. Oh, you know what I would do is paint them all one color, even like black. Dry brush the colors on like I do with my ceramics, and then add a little detail. So I'll try to pick some up, and if I do, keep an eye on the page, and I'll try to paint some up. Figure out something to do to make them not so picky with all the little details. But yeah, they little arms and little uniforms and all that is kind of a lot. So here they are. I could go as heavy as I want with the snow, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. I think I'll paint their noses while I can hold on to the hats. Then I'll paint the hats, let them dry, and we'll go to work on our Santas a little bit. I do paint sometimes when I have a lot of little bits like this, almost not production style, but instead of painting one completely, you could line up a dozen of these, paint them all at one time. You'd save time if you want to do them as gifts, like I said, or as, something to sell. Make some money for Christmas shopping. Oh, Peggy, yes, I would take your ceramic. I do the same thing on the ceramic. I just do a blue gray and paint the whole thing. When I do my trees and anything else, I paint the whole thing black. Or the little trucks, remember the trucks and trees? Painted the whole thing black and then dry brush and dry brush. Look on YouTube. I have some ceramic painting videos there. One is the little ornaments, which you'll get. I think there's a snowman one maybe. And I painted the trees and the trucks, and the videos are on YouTube, and you can see my technique. It's pretty quick. It keeps you from having to paint all the tiny details if you paint one color first. You're not trying to paint the little window and get the paint into the creases and then paint the bumper and get the paint into the creases. You're just dry brushing on top, and it has a nice kind of antique-y look, more so than if you were trying to paint every little detail. Now, these guys have little round noses. We're painting them orange like carrots. It is what it is because they're tiny little target fine. So anyway, okay, I'm going to paint the hats black, I think. I'll spatter some snow on it afterwards. I'll do black and a color maybe, but they are top hats. So let's do this one in the black. One good thing about the black paint, it covers really well. I'm just using my ordinary craft acrylics here. Like I said, I will put glitter on some and then put a little polyurethane gloss finish just to shine them up and brighten them up a tiny bit. let's see, I'm going to paint some clear sparkly glitter paint over the white as well. Yes, I did that. I love, I don't know, I just sort of I'm not really a glittery girl, but I love it on my painting, Christmas paintings, or just to add a little something something to some of these little projects. All right, so now we'll just get our little hat painted. The paint is drying pretty quickly, which is great. So we don't have to be online here and have to have you watch paint dry, right? A Christmas card with a snowman on it. Yes. And these little Santas were at Target in that little section when you walk in the store. They were there just a couple days ago. That's where I got them. Yeah, you know what? A great idea. I do a lot of Christmas cards and watercolors. I even do a lot of digital designing of cards in Procreate on my iPad. But if you want to have an idea to make some Christmas cards too, if you paint a little snowman on anything or any little painting that you love, just hit prints made of it. I usually do, if there's a sale at CVS or Snapfish or one of those, and have a bunch of prints made. And then you can buy those blank cards in envelopes at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Michael's, a pack of 25. They're textured. They look a little watercolory, like textured. I just double side tape my photo right on it. So it's just a photo of your painting. Little mechanical pencil, give it a title and sign your name. You look so cool and professional. And then you have a Christmas card, and it's beautiful. You see how much they sell those individual cards for at some of the craft fairs and things. But if you find a painting that you like I would take a picture of a painting of a snowman that I did and put it on there. Another thing is if you want to design something that's just Christmas card, Vistaprint prints up some beautiful cards. And around now, if you watch their site, they do 50 or 60% off. So at that point, I can actually have my cards printed up and then be able to still sell them because I've got them at half price. And they do a beautiful job. You could put a sentiment on the inside. You could put your logo and everything on the back. And the front is just your illustration or your painting. So keep an eye on Vistaprint too for printing things. Okay, so I'm going to do black hat on him too. I just think it looks very snowman-y. I can't think of if it was a stocking knit cap, which I paint on my snowmen a lot, I would do it in fun colors. But since he's got the little top hat, I do like it in black. And like I said, we will spatter some snow at the end to make it look like snow. And I'm just going to go around the rim here. It's underneath, so you don't have to have it perfect. Just get a little paint on the ridge there. Like I said, the black covers really well, so that's good. Yeah, I want to do some more Christmas icons and different things like that. Like we talked about the Nutcracker, maybe like a little nativity scene. I'm working on something. Not sure what kind of a slant I'm going to take to that. Something cute and different. Elves are fun. Christmas trees are fun. Santas, of course, and snowmen are fun, but it's nice to have something a little different too. So throw out your suggestions. Holly, painting little wreaths are fun. Cardinals and birch trees I do a lot of. Okay, so there. Let's let them sit for a minute and dry. I'm going to put them like that so you can see their little faces. Now I can see that I didn't paint the underside of this guy's nose. And let's go, and this guy's pretty much done. If you wanted, you could paint snowflakes on his hat. You could put polka dots. You could take your paint markers. If you had a paint marker and you wanted to write something, that would be a good way to do that. The only thing I need to do is maybe touch up a little where my white went over the edge a bit. So if I just take my maroon, if you need to touch up, that's what's great about the acrylics. You could just go and touch up anything that you didn't like the way it came out. Now's the time to just touch it up. Barely needed anything. And we're going to put some glitter on his little hat. The white, I said we need a second coat. It is a bit see-through. It would work with the glitter on it, but let's just do it quickly because it's nice and dry. The second coat's going to cover really well. That's all. So let's let this one dry. And I'm going to show you again. If you didn't see how I shaded around the little pom-pom in the rim of the hat, super easy. I'm going to just take a dark green now. So I've got my green. Actually, I took a dark green out of the color I had. If it's not dark enough, I can add a little black. I think I'll need to. I need to have a really dark green under these little ridges. So I'm just going to paint that on. Now, the green paint is dry, so it's going to be harder to blend wet and wet, right? But just put it on. I've watered it down a little bit. Put it on. And I've got just watered down dark green, and I'm just going to put it on kind of like a wash. Keep drying off your brush to blend. And can you see already now how that has shaded? It's a little shiny because it's wet. But I want to shade under those two little ridges. And I'm just painting on that dark stripe. The lighting would be better here. Let me see if I got this light, if it might help at all. I'm not sure if it throws some light over here. And it looks very much just like a line now. So I'm just taking a brush with just clear water on it and just going to soften. Acrylic paint is great because it dries fast, but hard to blend sometimes because it dries fast. So I work around that by painting wet and wet or just a wash. This is very watered down paint. Dark green, I keep adding water to it. Get that line in, that shadow line, dry off the brush, and just soften it. And what I would do now, which would be kind of fun, is I'm taking this lime green, and we're going to just make the little branches, but we could always put a little snow on those branches later too. But for now, just take a flat brush. Where's my, oh, here it is in the water. Here's my flat brush here. Yeah, I know sometimes I have a big format, large format printer, which I use for, it does a pretty decent job. But sometimes if you get those sales on Snapfish and whatnot, it's going to cost you way less than trying to buy ink and all that. Oh, Leslie, repaint them. Why? What did you paint? How did you paint yours already? I'd love to see them. Because it doesn't have to, you don't have to do them this way, but these are just some fun techniques. That bright lime green, flat brush, I'm going to go right up against the edge here and just pull up. And can you see how you can get a little bit of a look of a branch? And I'm just going to go, I'm just hitting the tip, hitting the edge and bringing it towards me. You could do that with a small brush too if you wanted to get it more, if you wanted to do more, have it a little bit different. These all came out kind of the same width, but you could go on with a smaller brush and bring some up higher if you like that look. Just some brush to along the edge and pull up and work your way around. And like I said, we could do the same thing on top of this with some white if you wanted. This is what I do on my ceramic trees. On the edge of the branches, I pull the brush towards me with a lighter green, and then I go ahead and do the same thing with a little bit of white. And it really shows up nice because you've got your dark underneath for the shadow, and then you've got the light right on top. Even though this isn't the edge, I'm going to go down here and just do this along there. Doing that little top red, I suppose I could have done the lip down here a different color too. You know what I might do even? I have some of the metallic paints, like a metallic green. I could go over with that and make it a little bit interesting. I'm going to paint the little ball on top red. That, again, might take a couple coats, but let's just put a first coat on here. You could do this gold, metallic gold. Remember, I'm just showing you, I'm just picking random colors, and I want you to make these your own. So you go ahead and change up all the bits and pieces. I'd love to see them. If you guys paint them, would you do me a favor? Would you put them on the socials and then hashtag Tinker's Cart Art so I could see them? I would love that. I would love if you shared and let your friends know if they're creatives and painters or painter wannabes that I'm enjoying teaching painting. I want to put a little bit of a blush on his nose. So I'm going to go back into just how we did Santa. We should have done them at the same time. I just take a little flesh and a little bit of the red, and I'm just going to brush on there a little bit. So he's just got a little bit of a red blush on his nose. And there we are. And like I said, the same thing with if you want to do with a little bit of white to make it look like there's a little snow on the branches. I'm going to take a little paint off my brush. I loaded it with white. Take a little off. I don't want to have a big brush load there. I just want to have a little bit of white here and there to appear as a little bit of snow on the tree. Again, I'm not doing it like I did the green heavy all the way around. I'm just going to put it on here and there. I'm using a smaller brush. I cannot wait to put the glitter on now. Yeah, and I'm gonna paint some more. I'll probably do some watercolor. Maybe I know everyone's been asking for some watercolor. I do a lot of sketching and watercolor, and I'll do some lives with those. If you want to jump in and try, we could do some on Christmas cards. And I would do the same thing here just because I'm going to continue that down. What I might do, just let's see. Let me see. I might just do some polka dots on this little edge there. All right, so the little tree on our little gnome. I could go ahead now if I wanted to give, like I said, I go sometimes too much in the details, but I would go for my dark maroon and just a little bit of that on the bottom of this little tree topper thing to give that a little bit of a shadow. I just think it finishes off nice, and it's a simple touch. It doesn't really require a lot, but you can see it just gives it a little kind of a nicer finished look. This little thing, I think if I was to do it again, I would probably paint it red. But let's just, to add a little something, something, I'm taking this little stylus tool. You could use the back end of your brush easily. And maybe I'll just put some polka dots around. Because, you know, I can't leave well enough alone. I need to just add a little something else. Just for fun. I would go back now if I wanted to add some stronger highlights on the beard. If I thought the paint kind of blended a little bit, I could certainly go back. If I can find my liner brush, and you could go back and just make some stronger hairs, beard. So there's this guy. These guys are pretty much done, except for the glitter, which would be so fun. And snowmen, let's just finish those off. Because you guys have things you want to do on a Saturday afternoon, I'm sure. So there we are. So you can see those. These guys need little faces. I do always give my snowmen little blush cheeks as well. I might do it with that kind of ratty brush that's I can kind of pat on there. So I'm taking just a little bit of white and red. I don't want it bright. I don't want it to look like he's wearing blush or makeup, but a little bit of a blushy cheek, just a little bit. Just patting that on in a sort of circular shape, but I'm not worrying about it being really exact circle. If it looks too dark, you just pat a little white over it. If it's not dark enough, just grab a little bit of white, red, and you've got little blush cheeks. I just do little dots for eyes and the same for the little buttons. I'm using the back end of the brush. You can just give them two little eyes. Buttons, you could do in a color if you wanted. I'm just going to do them as little black dots. I've put my fingerprint on there with black, so let me just throw a little white over that, because I sometimes will just have the paint all over me and I sort of transfer it. But let's, two little eyes and some buttons for you. I'm going to, like I said, maybe cut a ribbon to make a little scarf, little mouths, because if I want to try to put a little scarf on, I'm going to bring the mouth out up a little so that it doesn't get covered by the little scarf if I indeed do that. Christmas ornaments on wood slices. Oh, Kathy, yeah. A couple years ago, I bought a nice assortment of those on Amazon, little wood slices, and they came with the little jute to tie them with. And I've been thinking about, I painted them kind of boring. I just did a black circle on them and then painted some, I wrote with a paint marker little Christmas sayings. But I think I'd like to paint little animals. They're so woodsy, those little cutouts. So I might paint some little animals. Those would be cool. Oh, good. I'll look up that link too. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that might be fun. The woodland theme is so big now, so I'm just going to give them a little smile. Sometimes I'd make my snowman mouths just like a circle and it looks like they're singing maybe, but that's just a little face. Again, this is a great thing to do with your paint markers if you'd like. Paint markers are fabulous for details if you feel a little unsure or don't want to paint with a tiny brush. You can get some fine line paint markers, and they really do the trick. Just be very careful when you're using your paint markers that your paint underneath is really, really dry. You do not want to go into the wet paint because it will seize the marker up immediately. Even though these tiny eyes, I still give them a little white highlight if you can possibly with a little tiny dot. better when you let them dry. And the hat, I may just, you could always, how does the coverage? The coverage looks pretty good. You could always paint a little bit, like I would maybe take a little green and you could paint like a little bit of holly on there and put a few berries. It's just a little holly shape. It's just like that little sort of thing. I'll take some pictures of these when they're done. You can really look at the pictures after and see the details. And I'll post those. But just a little bit of green holly and a couple of little berries. Let's see. I know it's going to be hard to see that red dots on top of the black, but you could have painted a little band around there, like a little hat band, which would have been cool too. I just like the idea of a little tiny bit of holly. Not worrying about the shape. It's not perfect, but you know what? It's going to read as holly when someone looks at it. Couple little pieces. And then a toothpick would work, or a little stylus just for your little berries. You could just dot them on. These paints, I'm going to probably put another coat on of these colors, but just wanted to show you how I did them. So a little bit of holly on the hat. So you could certainly, like I said, have done a hat band. You could put a little more white on the top, like it's snow sitting there. I'm going to spatter them, though. I like the spatter look. And again, you could drill little holes and put little sticks in there for arms. I'm not worrying about that. But I am going to see about making a little scarf. I would put the polyurethane on here first. I would spatter them. Let's spatter them. I'm going to move these guys away. Spattering gets everywhere, but it's great for snow or stars or anything. And I just take an old toothbrush and I just wet down my white paint. I don't want it too thin or too thick. You'll get the hang of it when you start doing it a few times, and just spatter the snow. I'm going to set them up so I can get the snow. And that's all you need. So you don't really need to shade or highlight on the hat because it's so covered with the snowflakes. This is great if you're painting a scene and you want to put stars in the sky or any kind of a snowman scene afterwards. You just spatter that snow on there. It's so cool. That just got a little bit on his eye. So let me just clean that off with a clean paintbrush. And I've got a little bit of black because I probably touched it with my fingers. Just clean it up with a clean paintbrush. And I'm going to see about, I don't have any thin ribbon, but I do have this. And let's see if it frays or not. Maybe we can make little scarves for them. Let's see if it works. And like I said, any kind of little ribbon, a little piece of that, what do you call that? Twine. You could, if you had a really rustic looking snowman, you wanted to put that little packaging twine kind of. I don't know if this is long enough, but let's try. Let's see what they look like if we can. Sometimes I can just turn it in half and get that on there. I'm going to put it on to show you what it looks like, but I am going to put a polyurethane on these first, though. I mean, afterwards. So I'm going to put it on so you can see. I doubled over that little scarf a couple times because it was coming too thick to cover up his little mouth. But you could just get a little scarf on him of, you know what, fabric would even be better. If you have a little bit of a, plaid fabric or even red, you could do that. You could either do the ribbon thing like this, this way, and you have that kind of a little tail on it. Or you could cut a little fringe. Either of those would kind of work, kind of be fun. So I will just get that a little shorter. So pretty cute. Look at how cute he is. Even with the little glob by his nose, you can't even see it. And glitter. I do love this, the Deco Art Twinkles. It dries clear. It's got like kind of a binder, and it's got all this glitter in there. So it really does show up nice. And actually, I wouldn't have to really polyurethane him because the glitter does dry with a little bit of a sheen. And I know it's probably the camera, it's not going to It does picked it up a little bit. So it is kind of fun to do the glitter. I would do glitter on this whole guy and he would have a shine and I wouldn't really need to even go ahead and polyurethane. So let's just do that. We'll put some glitter on him, make a scarf for him, and these guys too. I probably wouldn't glitter the beard, but I would glitter the tree. Let's see how that looks. Like I would just put some glitter on the tree and that would shine him up. And they're pretty cute. What do you guys think? These are going to be done. And I'm just going to put the last little bits and pieces on them. But aren't they cute? They're little. You know, they're little, but they're really cute. Oh, thanks, Charlotte. Cecile, right. I know I sometimes go too detail-y, and you could stop where you want, or you could just be like me and kind of add one more thing. But doesn't it make it special? It's a great little people would just love this little gift. If you were having a Christmas party and you wanted to have these as like little placeholders, you'd have them on the table with a little name on them. You could write the name on with the marker, or you could just put a little place card underneath, and it's a little take-home goodie for someone at a little party. All right. Well, thank you guys. I do appreciate you popping in at the last minute, like I am always popping in, and I'm not even sure sometimes what I'm painting or how I'm painting it, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. So again, if you want to be notified when I pop on like this, text me at that number and you can get a little notification when I'm painting. I'll just give you a heads up I'm going on in a few minutes. And you can also reach me there. You can also text me any questions or any information or anything that you need that you can get in contact with me. So I appreciate that. And I do appreciate you guys watching from YouTube. And I'd love it if you subscribed as well. So thank you all. I'm going to take pictures of them. I'll post them and you can take a look at one of the socials and find those. And I appreciate you painting with me or just watching, and have a great afternoon. Thank you guys. See you soon. Bye.